All right. Hello. We're back talking high school football here with Inside Nova sports editor Dave Fawcett. Hello, sir. We've got 1 week left in the season. Obviously, the playoff picture is starting to come into focus. Can you kind of tell us what you're seeing and who's definitely in, who may need some help?
Sure. So there's definitely five teams in
Okay.
Colonial Forge, Battlefield, North Stafford, Patriot, and Woodbridge. The only question with them is seeding, and kind of depending on what happens Friday. The final three spots are there's a little more up in the air right now. Independence, Garfield, and Forest Park sit at the sixth, seventh, and eighth spots. So there's a little more variance there as far as what needs to happen for them to get in. But the top five are set. It's just a question of how that's going to play out. Colonial Forge will stay number one if they win. That's all they have to do. But
Okay.
if they lose, and then either Battlefield or North Stafford will jump. And North Stafford actually, even though they're number three, they could actually leapfrog Battlefield, even if they and Battlefield both win because they're who they're playing.
Their
River
opponent.
Bend, which is
Yeah.
undefeated, they pick up a lot more points. So that's where that's at. Woodbridge could move. They're number five. They could move up to number four if they beat Garfield. Patriots probably set, I would think, unless they lose to Gainesville. That's what probably would allow Woodbridge to move up as well. So, in addition to being Garfield, so it's just a lot of variances there. I think the bottom three, in particular, now Forest Park is really in a good spot. Right now, all they have to do is beat Hilton. Assuming they beat Hilton Friday, they're in, and so that won't be an issue. Garfield really needs to beat Woodbridge to get in. If they lose, then it gets into a lot of you know, uh, these other factors that have to come into play. Different teams have to win, lose, whatever for them to get in, but it's more of a stretch. But if they win, if they beat Woodbridge, then they're definitely in. Forest Park is kind of the I've kind of talked a little bit before. I think they're kind of really the dark horse here, even though they're only 5-4 right now. Um, they've really done a tremendous job. And the real biggest reason they're in this position, this is where scheduling is so crucial.
Right.
Um, is the points they picked up by beating Centerville in their season opener. Centerville's 7-1, so their only loss is against Forest Park. So Forest Park gets points for beating Centerville, but they also get points for the teams that Centerville beats. So that's
Right.
really, even though they're 5-4, and there may be some teams some better records, this is what's getting them in this
Yeah.
position. So there, and I we talked a little bit earlier, but this is where I think if you're going to talk about a coach of the year candidate, Brandon Benson in his first year there at Forest Park has done a really good job. They went 3 straight games without their top offensive threat, who was just out with a sickness, Kellen Lewis. He came back this past Friday, accounted for 28 of Forest Park's 34 points in beating Colgan, which really was a must win for Forest Park. They had
Mhm.
to win that game if they had any shot making the playoffs. They did what they were supposed to do. So they're really in a good spot. So we'll know Friday night. The points are going to be compiled really fast Friday night, so everyone will know that night what the
Yeah.
matchups are as we get ready then for the first round of regionals the following Friday.
Right. Yeah, fascinating to think, who knew what lingering impact or what kind of um, cumulative impact that win in week 1 was. So it underscores the importance to start off strong, and you kind of can't blow any opportunities as the season goes on. Week 1
That's
matters.
right.
Very-
That's right. Yeah. So that really was a big boom for them. I mean, because they struggled. They were in games both against Woodbridge and Garfield. They were close,
Mhm.
but they didn't have Kellen. So now that he's back, they're a much better team than that record indicates, and so they're going to be a team to really watch. But they should they beat Hilton, they'll be set. But Garfield and Independence, especially Garfield definitely needs to win, or they're
Yeah.
Forest Park probably might get in if they lose, but then again, you get into all there's so many different scenarios. It's just
Right.
let the experts figure that out. But
Yeah. So Garfield and Woodbridge. Would you kind of say that's the game of the week, or
Oh, by
perhaps
far.
the most impactful? But yeah, not kind
Yeah.
of.
Oh,
Certain.
it's most definitely
Mhm.
because there's so many different things riding on this game. I
Yeah.
mean, number one, no particular order. It's Prince William County's oldest continuous rivalry. This will be the 61st year of this. They always play each other at the end of the year. Um, so you got that part of it, the tradition, the bragging rights to a certain extent. But now you've got, for the second straight year, you've got both teams are undefeated in the district and tied for first in the district. So the winner gets the district title. That doesn't really mean anything as far as the playoffs go, but
Mhm.
it's still, a source of pride to do that. Woodbridge won it last year, was their first district title since 2009. Um, so you have that consideration. And then, of course, you have the playoff component of this, as we talked about earlier. Woodbridge is in no matter what
Yeah.
happens. They win or lose Friday. But Garfield has a lot more at stake as far as that goes to be able to, to guarantee that they're going to be in the playoffs. Because, again, if they win, they'll be set to go. So, the winner also gets what they call the Herb Saunders Trophy. Herb Saunders was a pretty well-known administrator here in Prince William County Schools. He was one of the coaches of the first Prince William County high school football team. Did a lot of things here. So, again, there's that part of it. Then you got the playoff consideration, the district title part of it. There's a lot there that's going to be very very integral to that outcome.
Right. It may seem when you knowing that Woodbridge is in win or lose, okay, are they going to be as competitive or as hungry as Garfield would be? But in rivalry games like that no, you can make your season by taking down your rival, playoffs.
Well, and see Woodbridge, the other part of this too with them is that yeah, they're in, but you know, they're also trying to vie for a home field game that first round of playoffs because the top four teams, have a home game. So, it's possible they lose, they stay at the number five spot. That means they're going to have to go on the road to somebody. So, even there, yeah, there's a lot there to definitely make sure you're, giving
Motivated.
it your all.
Right, right.
Yeah,
What,
absolutely.
I can't believe we are talking here before the final week of the regular season, as I'm sure you feel the same way. It is
Yeah,
just
fun.
blowing by. November 3rd, it still seems goofy seeing November on my phone when I look at the clock. What would you say? Who's the strongest team you feel like that you've seen this year in person? Is there one that jumped out or two? So it looks like I kind of put you on the spot here, but
I mean, Patriots playing really well
yeah,
right now. And we talked about a little bit this last week. They had a tough non-district schedule with Westfield and Colonial Forge, but since then, they've won seven straight. They beat a very good Garfield team Friday. Um, they're really, they're coming on, and it's not a should be a total shock, but they're very, they just had some things they had to work out offensively because of just graduating players, putting new players in there, but they figured that out at this point.
Mhm.
So I think they're a team to kind of keep an eye on. And then, like I said earlier, I really do think Forest Park is someone that could. It might be considered an upset because they're going to be a lower seed. I mean, they're going to have to travel
Right.
somewhere, but I think they're a team that could really could surprise some teams. I mean, the top three, North Stafford, Forge, and Battlefield, that's tough. Those three teams, I mean, that top seed, no one finished the regular season undefeated. And that should tell you something right there with the competition level they faced either within district or out.
Yeah.
And I think it's a pretty open-ended. I don't think there's any one of these years where it's like there's a no question slam dunk who's going to win that
Right.
region because especially among those three teams. And I think even Patriots right there. It, it
Makes it a lot more
it'll be interesting. I
compelling.
don't say that just to avoid. It's just really it's
Yeah.
pretty open ended
Yeah.
with those programs.
That kind of what you want to see. It makes entering the playoffs a lot more exciting, compelling,
Yeah, that's
dramatic.
the thing. Even going to this final week, you're like, well, you would think, okay, that number one seed's locked up. Some years it is. This year it
Yeah.
isn't because again, there's some other variables there that could definitely upend that and a three could go to a one because of who they beat, and then some other considerations. So yeah, they're pretty evenly matched. I don't know that there's that one dominant team. So yeah, it's going to be interesting. Yeah, who makes it through? Because then you'll have 3 rounds of regionals. Gosh, then it'll be states in December, and
Yeah. It'll
there
be
we
the
are.
holidays. Then you'll get a little breather, Dave. A well deserved breather. So, okay, but I think we'll cut it off there. Nice and easy, nice and quick on this election
Yep,
week.
yep.
We will everyone be sure to check in on Dave and his team's coverage of the games on the final week of the regular season. Check out his profiles, his feature stories on some of these athletes. We of course have plenty of other news, education news, political news, business news, all good stuff in InsideNoVa.com on our social media channels. We will leave it there. Thanks for joining us, and we will see you next week. Thanks, Dave. Bye.
Thanks, Trevor. Appreciate it. Bye.